Gonna invite everybody in. Come on in. It's 8:24. We'll let everybody come on in to our webinar and get a few minutes to get your cup of coffee. Have my cup of tea.
How's your week been?
It's been good. So my daughter went to school in person this week, so that was different.
Yeah.
And that was good. And it's been a busy week. I've been involved in a lot of webinars, and I got asked to speak on 2 different programs.
Nice.
So I'm excited. Did you sign up to do the program with Meg?
I did. So I think it's maybe the week of Thanksgiving. So.
Wow. Mine's like October 28th, I think.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think it's like November 23rd.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's interesting because that's part of our discussion topic today.
Yeah. Yeah. What we're going to be talking about. So
welcome, Lisa and Michelle Sylvie. I'm glad
Michelle
to see you
Sylvie's
guys.
from my team.
Yay.
She's our accounting manager, and we are very, very lucky to have her because she's very smart and nice.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes, she's fabulous. She's in Connecticut.
Oh, great. Well, I know your team is sort of all over the place, which is a fantastic business model.
Yeah. Well, it's worked out well during COVID.
Right. Exactly.
Thank goodness.
Oh, Alisa does embarrass us all the time.
See? I do. And she knows to put it in the chat because that's what we do I do. I always talk about my team and how wonderful they are. And
you do, because I feel like I know your team because you've been, and you're so complimentary of them. But the thing I love about your team is they're people who stay with you, which means that you're doing what you need to do to cultivate that company culture, right? Which is really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I had lots of training having all those children, so that made a difference too. That was very helpful.
Let's get started. So set us up for what we're talking about today.
So we are talking, well, first let me introduce anyone who doesn't know the famous and fabulous Aisha Hamilton, who is the owner at Hamilton Law, and she focused her practices on employment law, being a champion of employees, and not only employees, but she recently was on the LGBTQ, I know there's more letters, but I don't know what they are, and you were on a board that was talking with other lawyers to have this discussion about that, and so you're a champion for all. My name is Alisa McCabe. I'm the owner of First Steps Financial, and we help small businesses simplify processes, organize financials, and gain insight into your business. I'm sorry, but I have a shout out for Aisha this week. This woman answers emails all the time. I don't even know how she does it. She's telling me today she has a deposition. She's going to be in this deposition all day. But if I send her an email, I'll get a response. I don't think she sleeps.
Yeah, you may not get a response today, but on the topic, and I'm going to give just this quick sort of practice tip. I think what's really important to present to the world that you're supportive and encouraging and welcoming as a business is to do little things like part of the panel discussion that you referenced was for the Mercer Bar Association, but what I have started doing is I've changed my email signature to say next to my name the pronouns that go with me, right? And so there's a lot of people in the LGBTQ community who are starting to choose the gender neutral pronouns like they or their, right. But people don't know that. And so they're putting it next to their email signatures, which I think is fantastic. But then it sort of sticks out when someone does that. So to normalize the practice, if everybody does it, then it's kind of, it's not a big deal, but it's also indicating to my clients that I am aware of those issues.
It's true.
and that I'm respectful of the
Mhm.
issues. So you don't have to be part of the community to be aware and respectful.
Yeah.
So that's just my little email email
Well,
tip.
and I love that. And I think it's great. I really do. I mean, I have a brother who's gay and I have a nephew who's now a niece. So it's like it's out there, it's prevalent, and it touches all of our lives. And it's a nice thing to be supportive of everybody.
Right.
So we are talking about getting in front of your clients. And one of the things that we have been talking about is, about how many touches, like how often is it different now? But, one of the things, have you changed your marketing strategy because of COVID? Like, have you started to do anything different?
I have. And so one of the things I've had to accept is that our in-person marketing is not happening, right? And
Yeah.
not because I don't want to be in person in a room with 30 other people or 20 other people. And so I've had to take a look at, and I sat down and I wrote out, what is my marketing spend? What am I spending in terms of marketing dollars? So you had given, I think you had mentioned that, your marketing budget should be around 4 to 6% of your gross revenue.
Right.
And I'm probably spending that, which to me feels like a lot of money. And so then I sat down and I looked at, where am I spending it?
Mhm.
And which of these options are, you don't have a choice. You have to spend it on your website.
Right.
You don't have a choice. You have to spend it on A, B, and C locations. But then it also gives you the ability to do a critical deep dive at, well, this stuff, I thought it was a good idea last year. It didn't really pan out. I'm not
Mhm.
going to renew. And I think you have to do some of that type of stuff before you can decide what's working and what's not. You actually have to look at, where's the revenue coming from. So,
I'm so glad you're saying all these things. That's like our job.
right.
Like, this is why Aisha is such a good business owner, because that's what we would tell our clients is, if you do a marketing campaign, let's see what the return on the investment is,
Right.
and where. And for our clients, we have been, so again, Aisha and I used to do a lot of networking. That bottom dropped out of that. And so we started doing webinars. And that's when we came up with the idea to do Alisa and Aisha in the morning, our morning chat. And so we're spending more money on videos and webinars and things like that. And so we're working on increasing, that. And that's something different that we're doing. Um, we're also trying to be more conscious of personal touches so that it doesn't feel like a mass market thing. It's more, and I don't even know if it's marketing. I think it's more client care, where we're like, okay, we need to be in front of our clients and let them know that, okay, we know about what's going out there. We're keeping an eye on what's new with the PPP loans. Have they passed any laws lately? What's new with deferred unemployment, the deferred payroll taxes? And we're trying to let our clients know, what's going on. And I think that has changed because we didn't used to do that as much. There wasn't that much to tell them about. There wasn't so much that affected their lives. It was more, oh, it'll wait till when we talk to them. We talk to them every month, but now things are so uncertain.
Well, also your information is unfolding day to day.
Yeah.
And I have to say, some of the recent stuff I've seen relating to the PPP loans and the federal government potentially doing fraud investigations is kind of terrifying, because a lot of people I talk to, I say to them, well, please call Alisa because you're doing this wrong, right?
Yeah.
You don't just take the money and use it. You've got to account for it.
Yeah. Or there were people who got two loans by accident.
Oh,
Yeah. And then kept them.
wow.
But then there were people that returned. There were people who got the loan and then decided they didn't need it and returned it.
Yeah, but
Oh, that
that's
was good. There was some very interesting things around that. Lisa said, are you sponsoring any virtual or remote events that are substitutes for in-person events? So I like networking events. I know the Princeton Chamber has a lot of networking events. They're doing in the morning and at night. They're doing a luncheon on October 1st. They have a whole bunch of things going on. Have you sponsored anything like that or no?
I did
Actually
initially.
haven't thought of that, Lisa. Thank you.
Yeah, I did initially. And I will tell you that it went back to my where am I spending my marketing dollars, right? Because a sponsorship costs money. And I think that whereas a sponsorship might have a different feel, right?
Mhm.
When your sign is up in a room where the Princeton Chamber is sponsoring something, Zoom room marketing sponsorship actually doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
No.
But I could be wrong, right? So part of it is, you know,
Because
I've just, yeah,
I
you
think we don't know. I think
we don't know.
I think the statistics and the research on it is still out. Like, does it work?
It's too early.
Yeah, because I sponsored events when we did networking.
Yeah,
Um, I was a sponsor at like honoring women, and I've done all kinds of stuff.
right.
Lisa said she's doing more phone calls now instead of composing emails to reply to clients' questions. Nice personal touch. I like that.
Yeah. And it's funny because one of the questions you had asked me, Alisa, and I laughed as I sort of put my answer together is, do you take the time to reach out to clients to, um, you know, sort of cultivate, better build that relationship, right? And I was like, well, I don't, because every time I call them, I bill them. So I wait till they call me. But
So,
Alisa, what are you doing
so
in terms of
that type of stuff is profitable. Then is what you're saying.
it is. But that's it's but what I
I
do
understand.
recognize, right, is that when and it seems worse during COVID. And I think
Yeah.
it's important to recognize that our clients have other stressors that
Yeah.
are feeding into what I'm handling for them. So when they call, I have clients that have called 3 times in a row and emailed, you know, because they didn't hear back from me for an hour. Now, I I could take the position of, listen, that's crazy, knock it off, or I
Yeah.
take the position of, I get it. I know that you're stressed and I know you're anxious. And, worst case, if I can't get back to them until the end of the day, I'll have my paralegal call and say, she got it. She got
Yeah.
the message. She's really sorry, but she can't get back to you. But Elisa, what are you doing in terms of sort of staying connected to existing clients?
We're doing a lot more Zoom calls with them than we normally would. So my days are filled with like doing those touches. And I don't even work on the clients anymore, but it's more of I'm reaching out to the clients because I know my team is talking to to our clients often, but I'm actually reaching out and saying like, hey, how you doing? Let's have a Zoom call. And I specifically ask for a Zoom call because I want to be able to see their face. I want them to be able to see my face to say like, hey, they can see that, I have concern or I'm happy for them or whatever it is. Um, so that has been something we've done. Actually, Jason Myers is on too, and he's like, "Hey, what about that other webinar series you're doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, we are." So we're doing a webinar series with Jason, which is every other Wednesday. Next Wednesday, the 23rd, be there or be square. And I'm actually doing other webinars for a new NJBIA, New Jersey Business Industry Association. Um, I'm doing one October 8th, Cash is King and Queen, how to get it, track it, and keep it. And then I'm doing one on October 22nd about creating a remote culture and how to create those connections with a remote team. Um,
So what kind of, when you look at your marketing plan, do you think about marketing differently because you're a woman,
oh,
or do you market the same?
now I absolutely, so I would like to be funny, but I I feel like I don't know. If I was a man, I could do so many different things. I think about this as comedians too. Comedians can say things, male comedians say things and they're funny, and a woman says it and you go, hmm. Like Jenny McCarthy, she did so many like really kind of raunchy
I
things.
love
Like,
her.
I know I do. She did so many raunchy things and they're taken differently than if like Joe Rogan says the same thing. It's like totally different when Jenny McCarthy says it. So
Okay.
I try to think about that with my marketing, because I do think like we have to present a very professional front. And there are some things where I would like to be funny, and I try to do a little bit, because that is my personality. I really enjoy humor and I love laughing. As you ask any of my clients, they're like, oh yeah, that's all she wants to do. Because I really think it's about enjoying what you're doing. And for me, that's laughing a lot.
Well, and I think especially in the field that you're in, it can end up being very dry. It's all
Yeah.
numbers driven and spreadsheets and QuickBooks, and it's the stuff that business owners don't want to deal with. So
Yeah.
I think it's kind of fantastic that you're funny and light, and sort of can make the jokes with them that connect with them on a more human level, as opposed to picking up and saying, okay, yeah, you're in the red and this is really going to suck.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so it is different. I mean, do you think that you market different because you're a woman lawyer?
I don't know. It's interesting. I've never thought about, do I do something specifically because I'm a woman? My target audience is both. Actually, when I started my practice, I thought, well, employment law, and I really want to advocate for women. But I actually probably represent an equal number of men
Mhm.
in their employment claims. And so I feel like my marketing in itself has to be broad scope. It's
Mhm.
not limited to just women. But I think as a woman, I don't know how much of this is as a woman or as a business owner, but I'm just willing to take more risks with, oh, sure, it sounds like a good idea. Let's try that marketing avenue. And I don't know if that's something that is more related to being an entrepreneur or not. But I'm also realizing that some of the stuff I spent money on over the past few years was not a good idea.
It's funny that you say that, because my audience, and it's just because statistically speaking, most business owners are men.
Right.
So my audience is more male driven. Um, and I just think that, and I do think of it because I actually think about how I perceive other people. I try to be really cognizant of when I see someone, am I seeing them as a male, as a female, as non-binary, as intelligent, as not intelligent, like, and why do I think those things? And then I try to use that in our marketing.
Right.
Um,
So
and
I
so,
will tell you that one of the things that I have been absolutely fanatical about since I started my practice was clients should not, potential clients, adversaries, nobody should have any sense of what my personal life is. And so, probably until about COVID, right, I would never talk about my kids.
mhm.
If we were in the car and I had to answer a call, they are very clear that they cannot be heard. I mean, from when they were toddlers, right?
Yeah,
Like this
my
was
kids
the one rule, right? And I think it's because the perception is, okay, you're okay if you're a woman, but if you're a mom, you're distracted. And that's
oh,
not true,
oh
right?
yeah.
That's absolutely not true. But I felt like that's where I had to do the extra to make sure that my professionalism bled through in everything. I mean, I've been on calls with men where you can hear their dog barking or their kids running in the background or whatever, and they're completely unapologetic about it. I, on the other hand, will make sure I'm never in a situation where you can hear my kids in the background.
No, isn't that, it's so interesting. But wait a minute, now I'm going to be an evil, I'm going to put this a little devil's advocate. So when you're on the call with the man and you can hear kids in the background, do you think, huh, how come his wife's not keeping those kids quiet?
No, no. All I think is, wow, if you were in the, if it was me and you could hear my kids in the background, they'd be judging me for being distracted.
And if it's a man, I think that people are judging the woman, because most men, well, no, not most. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, honestly, my husband's home right now and he's in charge of the 12-year-old. So yeah, so I can't. So if you hear any noise in the background, judge my husband.
Right. Exactly. But I think women do think about that, right? The fact that we've both sort of quote unquote trained our kids to
Yeah.
recognize that when mom is working, you're absolutely quiet. You do not, you know,
Yeah.
that issue doesn't come up.
Mhm.
I mean, if my kids see me on a conference call or on a Zoom call, whatever burning question they had, they walk away,
Yeah,
right?
unless there's like a severed limb. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's,
yeah, yeah.
and I truly believe it is because we think of it differently. So, all right. So are you increasing your marketing budget? Is it staying the same? We're talking about that 4 to 6%
Yeah.
range. Do you think you're going to increase it or decrease it, or what are you going to do?
So I think what I need to do is maintain the status quo, but be smarter. So I'm still okay with the 4 to 6%.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure I'm going to use it the same way. So one of the things I've
Okay.
realized, and this is why I think it's important to track your marketing spend with what the return is,
Oh, yeah.
because I will tell you, um, I don't look at Google statistics. I don't look at the web statistics. I can't stand that stuff because at the end of the day, I think it paints a picture that I don't understand. What
Yeah.
I do look at though is how many calls were generated. So my website will send me a list of who were the calls that came through the website or the emails, and how many of those ended up becoming clients, right? And that's a conversation I'm actually having with my website right now. I'm like, none of these people ended up becoming clients.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because they didn't want to pay a consult fee, or they only wanted a contingency fee arrangement. And those are not the cases I'm out there marketing for. So something is wrong in the marketing, right?
Yeah.
So the cases that I'm getting are referrals from past clients, referrals from attorneys in my network,
Mhm.
referrals from friends. And so then I look at, okay, well, those are the good cases. So how do I make sure I'm spending my marketing money there,
Yeah.
right? To cultivate those relationships. I will tell you, one of the things I've realized, I think always, is when I do an email blog through like Constant Contact, it generates calls, but it
Yes.
generates the calls of, it's that whole, you need to be in front of someone's face a
Mm.
certain number of times. And every time I send out one of these things, I get a call, and it's
Yeah.
a good call.
And
So it's
it,
important.
and Lisa Snyder, because she's a marketing person, said tracking the conversations for the win. 100%. We track where all our referrals come from, and then we can run a report to see where they came from, because it makes a big difference.
And I'll tell
Um,
you, when I was not tracking this information, it was all there and available. I just wasn't looking at it.
yeah.
Then you're not realizing that maybe that marketing spend wasn't worth it, you know,
Yes. Yeah. How
or
do you
something could
evaluate
be
them?
fixed. Right.
Mhm. And that's something too. And I think, we're talking about marketing and being in front of your clients, and like what's effective, what makes sense for us as women. You have to, whenever you do anything, you should decide how are you going to measure the success of it.
Right.
And one of the things is, how many conversations do I have, and then how many of those conversations end up with clients.
Right.
um
So
I think
Denise Dwyer, who's on our call today, she and I were sort of having a quick email exchange about, I've wondered, is it beneficial to get media coverage? Right. So I get some media coverage that they reach out to me, and I think, oh, well, should I be actually trying, hiring a PR firm and doing more of that? And as I've like polled other attorneys and what they do, the conclusion seems to be you've got to spend a boatload of money to get the kind of media coverage you want.
yep.
And so then you sort of have to think about, the chicken and the egg. Do I spend the boatload of money now to get the media coverage, which will make me a boatload of money, or do I wait until I made a boatload of money to then spend the money to make the media coverage? Impossible question.
No, I know. And it's all in or not. It's like, you can't just say, well, I'll spend a little bit of money.
Right.
It's nice to go out the window. Like it almost makes no sense.
Yeah.
Someone asked on here, what are we using to track all this? So I currently do not have a CRM and I'm looking for one. You can actually track it in QuickBooks.
Yeah.
So because we know QuickBooks really well, we use one of the fields in QuickBooks to say, where it came in from, and then we can sort of report by that.
And Amanda Trigg says she loves her old-fashioned Excel spreadsheet. I mean, that's important.
However you do it.
But I do think you have to track it somehow.
Yeah, I do too. I think it makes the most sense.
I know Beth Manis, who's on here as well, also has like a pretty well-developed spreadsheet.
That's what she said. She said 2 votes for the spreadsheet. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with it as long as you're doing it. That's like the biggest thing. So we're increasing our spend. So we are actually, we're focusing on some different things. We are focusing on our current clients, and some of the spend is human capital. It's paying our team more to reach out to the clients more often, and it's also spending more time with our team. So I don't know if that's part of marketing. It kind of is. It's really like talking to the team more about how are you doing, what's going on with you, that kind of thing. We are doing more promotion. We're trying to do more social networking, doing the social media things, and putting ourselves out there as experts in QuickBooks Online and small business financials, and doing some virtual CFO work. And so that's where we're trying to promote that more. We're actually we're focusing on branding this year so that our brand is more recognizable. We are also sending out special packages to our clients and a few other special people. And I can't tell you what's in it, but I will show you one thing that we have.
That's fantastic.
So that's one thing that's in it. But we sent the box to everybody on the team. And so they were really happy with it. It was really funny. One of the things that we sent, people were like, what the hell is this thing? And we said, oh my God, our own team doesn't know one of the things that we sent in the box. And I will tell you, it's actually a camera cover for your laptop.
Oh.
But it's this big. And they were like, and they had the funniest stories. So we came up with, we're gonna have to put like a little instructions inside on what it is. But those are the things that we are increasing our marketing budget about, because I feel like we have to reach people in a different way. And I think that, I don't know how much mail you get these days, but I don't get much anymore. Like there aren't all the flyers they used to get and all kinds of things. And I wonder, what Lisa's opinion is on it, but is there going to be more physical mail marketing? I mean, have you considered doing that, Aisha?
I have not. I considered it and then decided not to.
Okay.
Because when actually most of my law-related mail is now email, right? Courts are e-filing. So it's not significant work-related mail. The stuff I am getting is actually still predominantly what I consider junk mail, which is other people's marketing collateral, which honestly I just throw right in the recycling. So there's something about the difference in what you're mailing, right? So if you're mailing somebody a mask or like your package that you talked about, that's generating a different level of joy in the recipient, right? As opposed to a postcard that says the Hamilton Law Firm on it. I'm not sure that value has ever come back, even in the time of COVID.
I agree. like you, I contemplated it and thought about, okay, so I, and this is just our thinking is, okay, everybody's going in this direction. We're going to go over here
Right.
because, you know, the whole crowd's going this way and everybody's really flooding social media. So maybe, so that's why we looked at mailing, but I had the same thought you did. It's like, it's junk mail and how much value is it really going to provide?
Right.
Um,
So we're at
but
8:54. Set us up for next week.
Oh, wait. So next week, because we freaking gab all the time, next week we're talking about oversharing. Woo! Everyone has done it. Everybody's been a victim of it. How do you do it when someone overshares with you, or when you overshare with somebody? How do you put the genie back in the bottle?
Exactly. And actually, Lisa points something out just as a parting thought. Think about sort of the frequency of your email marketing, right? So we get a lot in our email, in our junk box. I've started sorting my inbox so that it's some of the stuff is going elsewhere.
Yeah.
But and think about, you know, if it's free, if you're not spending that much money on it, then okay. I mean, the risk that it's ending up in someone's junk mail is fine. But if you're actually spending marketing capital on it, think about sort of where it's going and whether people even want an email from you every week.
Yeah. And it has to be something grabbing in the subject line.
Yeah,
Make them want to open it.
exactly.
It was so good talking with you,
You.
Aisha. I can't wait to talk to you next week about oversharing and what your experience has been.
Talk to
All
you
right. I'll talk to you
soon.
later. Bye, everybody. Have a great week.